The Life of Prophet Muhammad, Part 1. What if one man, born in a simple desert city, could change the lives of millions of people around the world? What if a message of faith, patience, and justice could spread across nations and continue for centuries? This is the story of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He was born in the city of Mecca around the year 570. At that time, Mecca was an important place for trade and religion, but society also had many problems such as inequality, injustice, and a lack of compassion for the poor. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was born into the Quraysh tribe, which was respected in Mecca. However, his early life was not easy. His father passed away before he was born, and his mother died when he was still a young child. Because of this, he grew up as an orphan. After his mother's death, his grandfather took care of him, and later his uncle continued to support him. Even though he did not have parents, he grew up in a family that protected him and guided him. From a young age, people noticed that he was honest, kind, and trustworthy. He never lied, and he always treated others with respect. Because of this, people in Mecca gave him a special title, Al-Amin, which means the trustworthy. As a young man, he worked as a merchant. He traveled with trade caravans and gained experience in business. During these travels, he met many different people and saw many different ways of life. Even in business, he was known for his honesty and fairness. He never cheated and always kept his promises. At the age of 25, he married a respected and kind woman named Khadija. She was older than him and a successful businesswoman. Their marriage was strong and full of mutual respect and support. Khadija believed in him and supported him in every part of his life. As the years passed, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, often spent time alone in reflection. He was deeply concerned about the problems in society, such as injustice, idol worship, and the treatment of the weak. He would go to a cave called Hira, located near Mecca, to think, pray, and seek truth. One day, when he was about 40 years old, something life-changing happened. While he was in the cave, he received the first revelation from God through the angel Gabriel. This moment marked the beginning of his mission as a prophet. At first, he was surprised and unsure, but when he returned home, Khadija comforted him and supported him. She was the first person to believe in his message. Part 2. As Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, continued to share his message, more people slowly began to listen and believe. Many of his early followers were from different backgrounds. Some were poor, some were young, and some were people who were looking for truth and justice. However, the leaders of Mecca did not accept this new message. They believed that it was a threat to their traditions and their power. Because of this, they began to oppose Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his followers. At first, the opposition was mostly words. People laughed at him, called him names, and tried to make others ignore him. But as more people accepted the message, the situation became more serious. The followers of Islam began to face real difficulties. Some were treated badly, some were punished, and others were forced to leave their homes. Life became very hard for them. Even during this time, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, remained patient and calm. He did not respond with anger. Instead, he continued to teach kindness, patience, and faith. He reminded his followers to stay strong and trust in God, even when life was difficult. One of the most difficult periods came when the Quraysh leaders decided to boycott Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, his family, and his followers. They stopped all trade and communication with them. This boycott lasted for several years. During this time, people suffered from hunger and isolation. Food was very limited, and life became extremely challenging. Despite this, they did not give up their beliefs. After the boycott ended, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, faced another very sad period in his life. Two of the most important people who supported him passed away. His wife, Khadija, who had always believed in him and supported him, passed away. Not long after, his uncle, who protected him from harm, also passed away. This year is often called the Year of Sorrow. Without their support, the situation became even more difficult. The people of Mecca became more hostile, and the danger increased. During this time, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, continued to look for ways to share his message peacefully. He traveled to a nearby city called Taif, hoping that people there would listen. However, the people of Taif rejected him and treated him very badly. He was hurt and forced to leave the city. Even in this painful moment, he did not respond with anger. Instead, he prayed for them and hoped that one day they would understand. This showed his deep patience and compassion. Later, something very special happened. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, experienced a journey known as the Night Journey. He was taken from Mecca to Jerusalem and then to the heavens in a miraculous experience. This event gave him strength and comfort during a very difficult time. It reminded him that he was not alone and that his mission was important. As the situation in Mecca became more dangerous, a group of people from a city called Medina came to meet him. They listened to his message and accepted it. They invited him to come to Medina and promised to support him and protect him. This was a turning point. After years of difficulty, a new opportunity appeared. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his followers began to prepare for a journey that would change their lives forever. This journey is known as the Hijra, the migration from Mecca to Medina. It was not just a physical journey, but also the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter where they could live freely, practice their faith, and build a community based on justice and compassion.
Part 3. The migration to Medina, known as the Hijra, was a turning point in the life of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his followers. Leaving Mecca was not easy. It was their home, the place where they were born and raised. But the difficulties had become too great, and they needed a place where they could live in peace. The journey itself was full of risk. The leaders of Mecca wanted to stop Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and even planned to harm him. However, with careful planning and trust in God, he safely left Mecca with his close companion, Abu Bakr. After a long and difficult journey, they arrived in Medina, where they were warmly welcomed. The people of Medina were happy to receive them. They offered their homes, shared their food, and supported the new community. This created a strong bond between the people of Mecca and Medina. In Medina, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, began to build a new society. One of the first things he did was build a mosque. It was not only a place for prayer, but also a center for learning, discussion, and community life. He also created agreements between different groups in Medina. People of different beliefs and backgrounds lived together, and these agreements helped them live in peace and respect each other. This showed his ability to lead with fairness and wisdom. Life in Medina was different from Mecca. Here, Muslims could practice their faith more freely, but there were still challenges. There were tensions with some groups, and there were also external threats. The people of Mecca did not forget about them and continued to oppose them. This led to several battles. These battles were difficult and required courage and patience. Even during conflict, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, emphasized fairness and respect. He taught his followers not to harm innocent people and to act with justice. Over time, the Muslim community in Medina grew stronger. More people accepted the message, and the society became more organized. Despite the challenges, there were also many moments of peace and growth. People learned how to live together, support each other, and build a better future. One of the most important events during this time was the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. At first, it seemed like a difficult agreement for the al-Muslimin because some conditions were not in their favor. However, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, accepted it with patience and wisdom. Later, this treaty led to a period of peace, and during this time, many people learned about Islam and accepted it. This showed that sometimes patience can bring greater success than conflict. As the years passed, the message continued to spread, and the community became stronger. People began to see that this was not just a new belief, but a way of life based on justice, compassion, and responsibility. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, continued to guide his people with wisdom and kindness. He listened to others, made fair decisions, and always reminded people to care for one another. This period in Medina showed not only his strength as a leader, but also his deep humanity, and it prepared the community for the next important chapter in their journey.
Part 4. As the years passed, the strength of the community in Medina continued to grow. More people accepted the message, and the idea of peace became stronger. One of the most important moments came when the agreement with Mecca was broken. This created a new situation, and it became clear that a decision had to be made. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, prepared to return to Mecca, the city where his journey had first begun. This was a powerful moment because many years earlier, he and his followers had been forced to leave. Now they were returning, not with anger, but with purpose. When Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, entered Mecca, he did so peacefully. There was no desire for revenge. Instead, he showed forgiveness. Many people in Mecca were afraid because they remembered how they had treated him and his followers. But to their surprise, he forgave them. This act of mercy changed many hearts. People began to see the true meaning of his message, not power, but compassion and justice. After this, the Kaaba, the central place of worship in Mecca, was restored to the worship of one God. This was an important spiritual moment for the community. As time continued, more people across the region accepted the message. The influence of this new way of life spread beyond Mecca and Medina. In his final years, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, continued to guide people with wisdom and care. He reminded them to be kind, to be fair, and to respect one another. During his last sermon, he gave an important message to his followers. He spoke about equality, justice, and the importance of treating all people with dignity. He reminded them that no one is better than another except through good actions and character. This message was simple, but very powerful. In the year 632, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, passed away in the city of Medina.